Today. It's 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. It means every day of the week we're here with Hour of Empower. The word of the day is open. The guests of the day are Leslie and Nicole, and you know both of them, I'm sure. And if you don't, you absolutely should. You really do. I mean, if unless you want to be in the witness protection plan here on LinkedIn, or to be the best kept secret, reach out and embrace and interact and get to know each other. Chat's open. We depend on that to get us rolling. And just to get us rolling, we've got Constance here. Constance, just amazing. I was so happy to contribute to her really, really beneficial program. I was one of 50, actually got spotlighted yesterday. And Dr. Constance is someone you really have to know just to know who she is, and you'll know more about her whenever you see her. Kinga's here. Kinga's great, but I don't want to get too into the comments. I see this is going to be a busy day. I'm going to turn it over to Leslie, who is then going to turn it over to Nicole, and then I'll go through some more comments. So keep the comments going. We want to hear what you feel initially. What does open mean to you? And everybody through Knowledge Share could learn so much about a word that maybe they can expand their thought consciousness. So with that said, we're on a roll before we even get going. Leslie, it's been a while. What's new? And what do you think about open?
Open. Boy, that is like the most general, ambiguous, without meaning. It could have 1,000 meanings, as there are as many meanings to open as there are people. So I would want to know from the those who are listening, and including my beautiful co-host, right, and also Donald, also a beautiful co-host. So what open means to you? The first thing that came to mind when I read it, and I have found that words that Donald picks that I'm not really familiar with turn out to be the best ones, right? Because then I can't teach because I don't know anything about it. I mean, so open to me means being present and open to anyone's point of view, honoring that every point of view is accurate for that person.
Yes.
And it grows every time we learn something. So open is being able to see another person's point of view, to attempt to, as much as possible, and understand that they're 100% correct. So that's open to me. It's like no judgment, no fixed point of view. It's like, what do you got that I don't have that I could take some of? That's open.
That's a good start. Very nice start, Leslie. We'll turn it over to Nicole so she can feed off of that and build on it. So what's your thoughts of open and being here? This is your second time. I'm so happy to have Nicole back because she does bring sunshine wherever she goes and makes things a lot better for just being herself. So Nicole, your turn.
Well, I can't dive right in because I have to say hello to everybody in the comments this morning. CJ, I see you. We're going to chat soon. I chat with CJ often. And Natalie, my other creative assistant there. Brian, thanks so much for being here. I'm taking Donald's job because he calls everyone out usually. But I can't stop smiling. And people tell me on lives I need to smile more. I got this morning with the biggest smile. I was so excited to be on the show today. I was nervous the first time, but now it's a nervous excitement. Leslie Flowers, I am thrilled to be here with you. I just want to say, Donald, I'm with every single day. You know that, Donald. So let's jump into open. I honestly don't think I know how to be any other way. I think everybody that knows me and is getting to know me knows that I'm an open book. What you see is what you get. What falls out of my mouth unapologetically. I'm not looking to offend anyone. People might be offended, and that, it's not meant that way. And I may be offended by some things others say as well, but that's just what Leslie says. We need to all be open in our hearts. We need to all be open in our mind to give and to receive, because you can't have one without the other. So, um,
That's brilliant. Can I just say one sentence about that? How brilliant that is?
Okay.
Okay,
thank
so
you.
you both sides of this. So my approach to this word as we began was listening for, right? Listening for information from other people. And initially, your approach was being a contribution to, and then you brought the listening for back in. So you see how we approached it differently, but yet you were able to see that not only are you being a contribution, but you're also listening for. The end.
Good. What I would like to add to it.
Oh, yes, Donald, please.
Just love you too.
Are you sure? Are you sure? It's a good thing we didn't have one sentence as the word today. So anyway, with that said, it takes longer to ask for it than to do it. So anyway, what I was going to say with open, what I look at it is access, like an open door, right? That's, open mind is great, and everybody should have one. But an open door lets someone in before you judge them, right? And most people already have a closed door that someone's got to prove they can open, right? And the challenge becomes on someone else instead of you to be open to what's going to come through that door. And until it comes through, wait to judge. Because I think with words, with more reservation of judgment, because how many times you say, well, if I would have known that, right? If I known your car broke down and you couldn't get here on time, I mean, I would certainly understand that. And then that comes with trust. So I think access is what's so important in collaboration groups. Because your door opens up 10 more doors that open up 10 more doors. And it's no coincidence, I was talking to Nicole earlier, that being visible builds your reputation, right? And all of a sudden people get attracted. I saw that person, they're real. I heard that person, they heard me, right? I want to do some with people I know and trust. And I think that's what people can learn is opening doors for others opens more doors for yourself, right? Because now you've got more doors. And I think that's what openness is opportunity. An open mind gives you opportunity to learn and to appreciate and respect. An open door gives you access. So let me cover the comments. We'll throw it right back to Leslie. Again, we introduced Dr. Constance. Kinga's here. Kinga was just great on the show. She's coming back again. If you're good, just continue to get better with better people. And then when you get better, take them up with you. It's ratchet up. And you can do that with so many people in small ways every day. It looks so pretty. Everybody agrees. Eharan, hello. Nice for you to be here. I have the same color. Great. See, we're getting commonality and alignment already. Natalie's here. Good morning. Natalie has just been fantastic. I think she's been on the show about 3 times. Ashif is just a resource for wonderful quotes and insights. Natalie, okay, this is the hello part. Brian says hi to everyone. Great to see you. It's been a little bit. Hope everything's well. I know Brian's one of the biggest go-getters out there on LinkedIn, prodigious in his content, and really brings a lot of value to his content. I mean, he's there for great tips, advice. It's a great resource. A blessed Saturday to you too. Danny was here for the first time this week, knocked it out of the park. Rohit is here. When we hear an ideology or concept, we have to be open to it. We don't have to believe it, but keeping an open mind will give us new ideas and unique insights. That will be something that Leslie can lead on. morning. So happy to have you, Susanna. You know, this is so beautiful when people are bringing love, hearts, kisses, complimenting lipsticks. Hello, I'm very impressed with you. I'll look only to you, the future. Great, Moss. Rita's here. Rita's from Eugene. I always put that in when she doesn't. Thank you, Rita. She's our Wednesday person. Natalie comes back. Here's poetic Natalie. Just like a flower opens as it blooms, a human being becomes a unique individual when they embrace their true self and express their true nature openly without reservation or fear of judgment. That's so true, because that should be the default, not the exception, right? That's what we should do, is buy some more vowels before we try to solve the puzzle. Ask more questions, because it's harder once you decide to undecide, right? You're better off keeping it open, and then you don't have to back out of something or feel like, you know, you were right when you kind of know you're wrong. Cindy's here. Hello. So good to see you. I think we're here where it's almost Leslie's time. One should always have an open mindset to learn more from life in every situation. I don't know. You're having too much fun too early, Leslie. What's going on? So don't have to answer that. Speak for itself.
Well, I made a pan of brownies today, which I've done before, and I was in Melissa Houston's audio room, and the alarm went off, and I ignored it. So now they're 15 minutes over, but I'm still going to eat them anyway. So back to you, Donald. What you were? Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Well, I wanted. I wanted to comment on what your comment about open and the first thing I heard when you said open to me is, it sounded like everything you said was an invitation. So it's a safe invitation. And the only other thing I would add to that is you can't be objective and judgmental at the same time. So maybe when we pause for just a moment to acknowledge the invitation, we can actually say to ourselves, I'm going to be listening for resonance, what I hear that really resonates with me. Because if we come into the room judging, right, Leslie burned her brownies again, Nicole has the wrong color flowers in there, Donald's hat is old now, right? And we cannot be gathering the nuggets that are shared. So that's what I got from you, Donald, which is actually quite profound for me.
Well, that helps. That helps, Leslie. It's nice to be in alignment. It's a rarity that we can all find so much harmony. But here's what I'll add, and then switch it over to Nicole.
Yeah.
Is expectation has a lot to do with openness.
Yes.
Right? If someone's coming through that door, your expectation of what they're going to bring, right? Are they coming for lunch? Are they got a bill in their hand? I mean, whatever it is, will impact how open that door is that you allow to be open, right? You might just peek in to see who's there if it's a stranger, or you might just slam the door wide open if it's a relative you haven't seen in a while. And I think,
or close the door,
or you know,
with a relative,
or see someone close the door on you.
Oh yeah.
I mean, someone could open it up, say, "Oh, wrong house," right? So, you know, I think it's like any word. It's the context, it's the application, it's the delivery, it's the packaging and the presentation. And it just shows you the value of words, that how many words can bring you up and how many words can you bring you down. And, you know, Mike Tyson says everybody has a strategy until they get hit in the face, right? And then their strategy goes out the window. So it's the same thing. I think openness is also responsiveness to the situation, right? Some people, if they need help bad, it doesn't matter, just give it to me. And other people could be particular based on the situation. How many people have a car that needs repairs? I can do it next month. So it's always, I think, checking yourself, evaluating where you are with everything, and are you in balance? And I think at the end of the day, openness has a lot to do with pride. So when you put your head on the pillow, were you proud of how you opened yourself up today and how you allowed other people to open themselves up? It's almost like an oyster with a pearl, right? And that's what they call pearls of vision. So, I mean, of whatever it is. With that, Nicole, take it away on a high note.
The high note is I can't stop laughing. So I have no idea how I'm supposed to start talking.
It doesn't
And
matter.
I know you're going to have me on again because I just invited myself, and I will wear a hat to match, I promise. So, you talk about doors, and this is probably where I'm going to take it a different way. And that's what I love about these discussions, right? I feel that I'm an open door. Wait, I know I'm an open door. Now you can come right on in, and there are times that you might decide to turn your back and walk right back out. That's okay, right? So, open door. There'll be open doors, and there are doors that are going to be shut. You're going to try to force yourself in, and I'm the first one to tell you, I kick doors open, because if I want something, I'm going to find a way to get into that door. You could push. I'm going to push back harder.
Mm-hmm.
So I might get on the other side and realize it's not what I had hoped was there, and I might move along to the next door. And I would think that people would do the same, right? So I choose to be an open door. And what that does, it makes me vulnerable. However, I never want to be naive. And this is a work in progress for me, because people will walk through that door sometimes with the intention, unfortunately, of taking advantage. And you definitely have to be cognizant of that. And you want to make sure when you walk in the door, you're bringing something through that door with you, not just coming through the door hoping to get something from behind the door.
I think, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Okay, well, I think that
Go ahead, everybody, go ahead.
what's so beautiful about what you're saying and what Leslie has brought up is that attracting is better than chasing. And sometimes people have an open door and a vacuum attached to it to draw people in. Right? How many times you walk by someone's door and the smell of the food is just unbelievable, right? And every time you walk by, it has that wonderful aroma to it. And are you creating an essence that travels out there to want to bring people closer to you, and maybe create an opportunity where they're going to come in with a smile, they're going to come in with a gift, because that's what your door opens to, right? You can almost have a sign on somebody's door: open this door to love and laughter. And somebody's door is better watch out, don't step near, someone's going to get hurt. So I think it's really conditional, your openness to who it is, and trust. But let's go to comments, and then we'll move it right back to Leslie. Kinga says, open hearts, vulnerability shows authenticity, and people see us for who we are. And, one other caveat, there are so many doors with all of us here that are already wide open. When I grew up, people just had, everybody's door was open. You go to any neighbor's house, it was like, hey, we're neighbors. It meant something. We live together, so people take care of each other. And that's what we need to do through open doors, is minister to everybody. My grandmother, who, was in the Depression, grew up, didn't grow up, but lived through it. She always told my mother, whoever comes to the house, you never turn them away if they need food. You don't bring them in the house, but make a sandwich, give them a glass of milk, and that's the way we are. And, that's the way we can be, right? Is be generous, knowing one day we're going to be the one who may need the sandwich and the glass of milk. And if you also know you have that glass of milk and sandwich, you don't worry as much. And most times you never even need to use it, but knowing you have it is a reserve. So I think that's so important. Here we go to Dr. Constance. Says, so true. Often we judge people for what we see externally, not internally. And kind of you see what you look for too, because there's goodness in everybody. There's value in everybody, depending on what you're looking for, and when you see what you're looking for, what it is anyways, so it's really, who are you deciding? Rita comes back with, sometimes door slams, whether to reopen, pause, or move to another door takes thought and then action. Well, if a door is closed, Leslie, you can take it away.
Oh, I just wanted to, I read this and I was hoping that it would come up, and thank you for allowing me to interrupt you.
Oh, not a problem.
To this, what immediately came up for me is that there are many doors, but you can only walk through one at a time. So if a door slams, quickly move to the next one, because time is consumable and time doesn't tolerate hesitation. So that's what I got from that. One other thing, going back just a tiny bit, if it's okay, to what you said, Donald, and what Nicole said. You reminded me of the state fair, the North Carolina State Fair. Every year for 20 years, we take a lunch break from our work in Research Triangle Park. And the week before the fair, we would go out and get early tickets. Why? Because several of the concession stands were open early for all the workers setting up the fair. Now, the fragrance that always got me when I didn't do this early, because we'd come in and I'd go to that stand right away.
Mm-hmm.
But the fragrance that gets everybody is the sausage and onions and green peppers on the grill when you're walking in. You just have to have. However, here's the reality. When you're just going early and you get that, it's okay. The food is good. But when you go to the fair with everybody and you have all these fragrances, and your first thing is the sausage and onions and green peppers, it's not all that good, right? It really wasn't all that good. So it was really your expectation, which Donald brought up. And so you may be drawn into a door, but you also have boundaries, and you can also turn around and walk out and enter another door, capping on what Rita said and what Donald said. And boy, that tied that one up good.
Yeah, I was going so well with the sausage and onions and
well, I was telling you a story because this would do this over every year.
We any good at the end, but anyways,
it wasn't. But you know what? We did the same thing every year. It wasn't until we started going in early on our lunch hour to get tickets when the crowds weren't there. And we'd have that because we already knew that we wanted the turkey leg or the corn on the cob and the husk.
You're talking for the group, Leslie. Did everybody go there for the turkey leg and the sausage?
There were a lot of people there eating those things.
Okay. Well,
anyway, that's where it's like sometimes when you go in the door is open and you step in, look around very carefully and make sure that what's going on there in that environment with that person, whatever, that they have similar standards, values, and ideals as you. And don't be afraid to turn around and say, thank you very much, walk out, shut that door, right, Rita? Right, Nicole? And then find another door to walk through. Nicole,
that is passionate. So with that said, I think one has to realize it's a numbers game too, and ask yourself, how many doors are there and how many do I walk through every day? So why would you hesitate? If a door is even hard to open, right? If you had one garage door opener that wasn't working, you'd use the other one.
Infinite doors for each one of us. If we never get an idea that we can't do. The question is, well, I know Nicole can speak to this. The question is how passionate and how driven are you, to that end? Nicole?
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely, I am very in your face. That's me.
You're passionate.
I am. I want, and my want is desire, right off of your show yesterday.
Mhm.
And that desire turns into action.
Mhm.
And that action turns into results.
Mhm.
I'm driven by that.
Yeah.
Now, here's the thing with me with the doors. I might walk by a Leslie store and smell heavenly brownies and decide I want to walk in. Okay. I might walk by Donald's door and smell something that I have no idea what that is. And I'm really not even sure if I like the aroma, but I want to walk in, right? I do not want to close myself off to only things that resonate with me. I want to be able to step outside of my box and my comfort zone, and my box, Susanna, my darling, over there, right? I want to have zero expectations, so I am not disappointed. And should I walk in and find something that delights me, good for me. If I didn't and I walk back out, I'm not disappointed. I didn't learn anything. I can move along to the next door, right? I think that people will feel the same with me. They may follow me and then unfollow me. They may be like, I loved her one post and I thought I identified. And now that I'm getting to know her, I no longer identify, right? So people will walk away with value and people may not walk away with value. I don't want to leave any doors unopened, but I do want to give myself the grace to understand that as I am opening doors, my hands are going to get sweaty and they're going to slip off some of those doorknobs because I only have so much time in the day, like Leslie says, right? And I do have to be careful about the people that do walk through my door, kind of try to assess what it is they're looking for, understand whether or not I am able to give that to them, whether or not I have to step out of my door, walk 2 doors down with them, and help them open another door that they need to get into.
Mhm.
So I dropped so much there, my own brain hurts.
No, I knew that this was your subject because, well, I want to ask you a question if you don't
Mhm.
mind.
Of course.
So, have you noticed that there is an opposite feeling? Do you know, like for me, when I get really passionate about something really intense and excited, that sometimes it's followed by the opposite feeling.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And so what I know is that's the rhythm, right? That you, for every up, there's going to be a down. And so for me, I try to remind myself, hey, you've had a big high, don't worry about the low because another high is coming. So I kind of wondered how you would handle that. And because you're very passionate, so I would imagine that you have the opposite sometimes too.
Yes, certainly. And my bipolarness speaks to that. I ride a roller coaster and I hate roller coasters. I hate rides in general. So after 20 years of suffering with depression, no, living with depression. Well, I did suffer, but 2.5 years ago, I got
Living.
properly diagnosed with my bipolar 2. And I am on a cocktail of medication that, as far as I'm concerned, people get up and take vitamins. It's vitamins for my brain.
Mhm.
And it takes me 3 seconds to take it. And I'm living the fullest life I have ever lived in the last 2.5 years.
That's
Okay.
great. Congratulations.
I am. And I have now embraced that bipolarness as a gift because if I choose to look at it as a gift, I can now turn around and do something with that gift. I get to give that gift to others.
Mhm.
And that's really where my heart lies. Yes, I'm very passionate about writing and building my business and helping others. But I really am very passionate about advocating for people with mental illness because I want people to know that they not can, deserve to live the happiest, best life ever. You deserve no less,
Mhm.
right?
Well, that's so kind of you to share that. I wasn't exactly like I didn't necessarily mean to go down that road, but let me ask you now, since you've shared that. So now that you are managing life beautifully, oh, you wanted us closer? Is that it? Oh, hello, Nicole. So Donald, Nicole.
High five,
So
high
there we go. So now that you're managing this and living the life that you love and you're really self-expressed, that spirit within you really forcing its way out, your
five.
creative spirit wants to be expressed. So now do you still have some low times? And if so, what do you say to yourself? Because you know that even though the curves may not be as deep, we still have those moments no matter who we are, right? So are you better at it now?
I'm
Do
so
you
much better at it. And yes, I do have them. What I'm happy about is I don't have that side of the mania where I am so high off my
Mm,
brain that I'm just acting on pure adrenaline. I'm actually able to rein that in a little bit. And then on the opposite spectrum, if I feel myself plummeting, which I do because I'm only human, see,
right,
people don't
right.
understand the medication is not an antidote. The medication is, I broke my knee in December and I had to be in a brace and I had to hop around the place on a crutch. The medicine is not a crutch, but just one of those tools to help you. It cannot just be the medication. You as a person has to grow. You as a person has to acknowledge that this is, accept it, find ways to cope with it. And the ways that I cope with it personally are: one, I laugh at myself all day long. My humor cracks me up. I crack myself up. It might seem silly, but when I do those things that normally would have made me feel guilty, angry, criticize myself, right? I say, Nick, really? Seriously? Again? How many times you gonna walk into this wall, girl?
So
And now,
you did, so there is a change.
oh yeah,
There's this rhythmic change is yeah, it's not as severe, but we all have it. And so
yes,
the advantage you have, though, you do have an advantage over the rest of us,
my
is
self-talk.
because you've had lots of practice.
Yes, my self-talk, and it took me many, many years. And the other thing is finding your tribe. When you find your tribe,
Mm,
you walk in stride. I
yeah.
have my tribe. My tribe are the creatives: Susanna Dawn, Christine Jones Schwager, Nathalie Villeneuve, and my sister CJ. We five are like five pieces in a pod. We made that pod big enough to fit five, right? They're my go-tos. If I am having a rough day, they get my message from work. Blah, 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 blah. And the funny thing is, when you speak it out, and that's the thing with being, depressed and bipolar, it's so hard to speak it out, right? It's so hard to be open. But when you can be open about it, and there's some you could be bare open with, like I can be with my girls, and there's some that you will slowly open to, then you have yet another tool to support you outside of the medication.
Mm-hmm.
You need to accept that there are going to be those days where you are going to fall to your knees. But you have to start the day off with the right mindset.
Mm-hmm.
Every day when my feet hit the floor, I've won. I've
Yeah.
already won because there's so many days I didn't get off that bed. So
Mm-hmm.
I open myself first to myself, right? Once I was able to open myself to myself, look at me and say, Nick, it's okay that you're this way. It's okay to feel the things you feel. Acknowledge it, feel it, let it pass through you, whether it's jealousy, whether it's anger, whether it's any of those things. You need to admit it to yourself. If you can't admit it to anyone else. Therein lies the guilt that starts to eat you up inside and pushes you back down. Because now you start to think, I'm not like everybody else. Why do I feel this way?
Mm-hmm.
Open
That's
up to
really, you did,
yourself.
that's really great. You really explained that beautifully. Donald, what do you think?
Well, I think that thinking about what everybody else is saying they think is that relationship has a lot to do with open doors.
Mm,
So somebody you know and care about, you just walk in their house and it's like no big deal.
Mm-hmm.
And other people, you got to knock and you got to wait for the door to open, even if the door is openable, so you measure where the welcome is going to be. And everybody needs to walk through a door to get to something, right? You have to go through that door no matter what is on the other side to accept it or to receive somebody. So based on your relationship, who do you want open doors all the time to you, and who are you walking on eggshells with? when you knock on their door? And why are you knocking on that door? You know, too many people accept potluck or whatever comes their way and they work with it because so many people say, I can deal with it. But that's not the point. You know, you can go into deeper debt and probably figure out how to pay it off. But what's the point? You know, and it's really the game, like I say, is always between you and yourself. You make the rules, you pass judgment, you take the sentence. You decide how long you're going to be in that position. And the question is, why not just fast forward? In most situations, you'll know if a door is open before you get there, before you even leave your house, right? If you go to a restaurant, you'd always say, well, what's their hours? You wouldn't just drive across town and hope for the best. And I think that's openness, is communication to other people, that your door is open to those people. You know, you don't want to make people guess or hesitate or question. And you can also say, my door's closed to these people, right? The haters, the ones who cause trouble, the disruptors, and that's the difference, is it's values that create open doors. It's safety to have an open door. Right? When you trust everybody that's in your neighborhood, it doesn't matter because everybody's going to be taking care of everybody. So with that said, openness definitely has conditions, has reference, relativity, and the joy you can put on someone's face by opening something for them they couldn't open. Like lifting a heavy load, right? That's taking the load off of somebody, opening up themselves to something else. But I think it points exactly what Nicole was saying. If you got 5 people and you're moving tomorrow, those 5 people come and at least help you organize, maybe pack a little, maybe bring a pizza, so it becomes an event that used to be a chore. It becomes a party and a celebration. And that's really what you want to do, is how many parties do you go to every day? How many relatives have birthdays every day and you have access to? Well, whose fault is that? Just the calendar's fault? Versus, hey, let's have a celebration for anything. Let's enjoy everything, and let's tell each other how valuable everybody is for being here and how important it is. That's why people come to the Hounds events, comes to these events, because of their neighbors. Their chosen family and their family that chose them, which is even more important. When someone adopts you, and says, because of you, this is happening to them, and how big is that door when you open it? So let me catch some more comments. Danny's just really bright when it comes to insights like this. He's a psychologist. My dad always said, what's so funny, Leslie? I don't want to say it, but I have to say it. Last time Leslie made brownies, the fruit flies ate them. So every time there's like the tragedies of Pauline or something going on with those brownies, my dad always said, when one door closes, another one opens. He was a terrible character.
That's what I was laughing at.
That's okay. The fruit fly, so
well, that was a long time ago. Now these ones that are now dried out, right? They're so loaded with walnuts. Here's what you do.
That was my next question.
Right. A lot of walnuts, but now here's the thing. It's savable, right? Because what I can do is put a brownie in the bottom of a cup and pour in heavy whipping cream and kind of chop it up a little bit. Moisture is back, and it's even better than just the brownie itself.
The first time.
Yeah. The first time was the fruit flies, which I got rid of all that.
Next week, think about brownies as the key word.
If you'll have me back, I wanted to say one more thing about Nicole, that she brought in a perspective, another perspective of openness, which is open to yourself, to give yourself permission, right? So we've talked about openness in relation to everybody else, but you have to be open to yourself. So thank you for that, Nicole. That's all I wanted to say about that.
Okay, not a problem. Let's go to Natalie. Says, this week I embraced being an open book. I opened up and shared a personal experience with my close girlfriends. When we open up about our own life experience, struggles, and triumphs, we create a space for genuine connection and understanding. That's so valuable, Natalie, because what you find is everybody is like you that you thought was different. And that's what makes you scratch your head. You know, you think you're the only one. How could you? There's so many until you get to telling people. And, you know, and that's where we came up, or that whole approach is feel, felt, found. You know, I know how you feel. I felt exactly the same way until I found whatever, a person, a place, a thing. And now so empathy is so important. Being where someone is, where they're at, not where you want them to be, not where you wish they could be, because people close doors they slam doors that are already closed, at people. And, the scary part is it just a word the other way, a moment of kindness that just says, "Hey, I'm safe. We're safe. You're safe. We're okay." And then hopefully some level of distraction. Ambambola is here. So glad to see you. Dennis is here. Dennis says a glass of milk and help people are really needed. Your folks know the utter truth. Like, that's so cool. Nothing like a rhymer. I had open heart surgery along with the medical issues. I had a surprising result. It made me more open to life, more open to people, more open to everything. Everything can be like a can opener because a can opener is sharp. It cuts through metal, right? So if you can open yourself up to something that then opens you to more things. So a little closeness is keeping you from maybe a lot of openness. And seeing the bright side is always better. The half cup, half full, half empty situation, can be useful. Rita says, yes, Leslie, agree. Then Rita has something longer. If you can't open a locked door, find a key. If you can't find a key, make another key. There's always a way to open that door. The question is how worth it is. And then what's behind the door? Sometimes firemen just bust right through. I mean, they don't have time to be knocking on doors or waiting for something to open. And sometimes when something is in front of you that just needs to get overcome, you do whatever it takes to get through it, And that's really a matter of urgency, and situations like that. Nicole, what do you think?
I'm just in love with the comments. I mean, I'm usually on the other side, and I'm usually in the comments. And to see it from this side is just, wow, what an experience. What an experience to really, the conversation, because it is. We're talking with you. And that's exactly what we're doing. We're not just three up here talking with each other. Leslie, I did cross my mind if they were hash brownies, because I was just going to say if they were.
Well, this girl from the 60s who went to San Francisco State wouldn't know anything about that.
Okay, because I was just going to say neither do I. I've heard lots of good things about them. But honestly, there is so much happy in you and me. I don't even think we would need those.
I know. And thank you for saying that. And I wanted to say something about our profound Professor Rita here.
Mm-hmm.
You'll never get an idea that you can't do. And it reminds me of a very short story in Think and Grow Rich about Henry Ford, who decided he was going for an 8-cylinder engine, right? And so he called all his engineers in, and I guess it was 4-cylinder at the time. I don't remember that detail, but anyway, he said, go and create the 8-cylinder engine. Now, Henry Ford was not an engineer, but he had the idea. And if you have the idea, that's the first manifestation. Everything is created twice, first in the idea that you get, and then in physical form. So 6 months later, all the engineers came back and said, sorry, Henry, there's just no way. And what he said was, go back and find a way. And 6 months later, they came back with the 8-cylinder engine. To the point, to Rita's point again, I don't know why I like to do this, but if you get the idea, and in the Bible, and I don't remember whether it's Old or New Testament, there's something about, You're never given an idea that you can't do, or you're never given more than you can handle. So literally, if you want it badly and you have a desire for it, the goal won't change, but the path always will. So find another key.
That's a good point. Coming from Detroit, I actually had the benefit of the Henry Ford Museum in Greenfield Village, which is a delight to visit. And one thing Henry Ford said is his marketing people said, everybody wants more colors.
That's
And,
right.
right? And Henry Ford says, good, tell everybody they can have any color they want as long as it's black. And because that's the only way the car was they only had one color for a long time with the Model T. But again, it shows you how you use words.
Yes.
It says, yeah, you can have anything you want, except it has to be this, versus you're only going to get that. Now, it means the same thing, but it brings a laugh, and it allows people to want to open up to you.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. When you start closing on someone who wants to open, you're building resistance. And they may push through and get there, but they're also going to find other doors were already open for them. And if you want a door to open today, you got to make yourself worth it for tomorrow. No different if you had a guest come to your house and they just messed the whole place up, you'd never invite them back. Or make them some old brownies that are burnt. So Savannah says, when you walk through that door beyond that box, you can find yourself glowing in some of the most amazing places with the most loving people, and that's so right, Susanna, because I think one of the keys is giving yourself more credit every time you walk through a new door. I mean, and if people live life like they go through a mall, if there's any left, you'd walk into a store and you'd say, there's nothing here for me. And other stores you couldn't get enough of, and you'd look at everything. But how easy is that when you're shopping to feel like I'll go through that door and I'll leave when I want to? But then when you bring a relationship into it, now you're starting to think, well, how am I looking? If I leave too early, if I don't show I'm interested. And pretty soon that's the door you're starting to find yourself in, and it applies so much to the workplace. You go in and you find out, oh, they don't believe in what they told me. They really, they're not doing what they said they believed in, and now all of a sudden, I'm a little bit less comfortable walking into that place. Go ahead, Nicole.
Leslie has the trick.
Oh, the finger? Yeah.
The finger. Because it's funny because Leslie's chatty, but Donald, you're just chatty too. And then you put me into the mix. Holy moly. Everybody's fingers are in the air. So yes, when you are open, you invite others in, like you say, and they want to open as well. And I guess I'm taking such a different perspective on this because of my experiences and because of my bipolarness. When I see kick doors open, maybe I need to say if there's no door and I need to get in, maybe I'll take a piece of chalk and I'll draw a door and I'll make a door, because I'm an opportunistic person, right? I have a business. I would like to succeed in my business. So I'm going to make opportunities for myself at times, right? I don't mean kick the door open because I want to kick it open and it hits you in your face because you don't want me in there. But I will say, some of the closest people to me are the people that didn't just try to open, nudged it, and left. They were the people that actually jiggled the doorknob, right? Because they saw a glimpse through the door of somebody on the other side that needed help, right? And they wanted to help. And because they were able to walk through that door and meet me, they were able to help me. Don't just walk by closed doors. Don't just ask people how they are. Be attuned to their content. It says a lot, especially people who are very emotional and haven't learned yet. Don't write when you're emotional, because when you write when you're emotional and you put it out there like that, you can't, well, not that you can't take it back because you can hit delete, but sometimes you don't see clearly through your emotions, right? Not
Well,
all.
isn't there value in writing that way? Because here's my question to you about that. You don't have to click post. When I write something emotional, I may never post it. So I don't create anything emotional right online.
Yes,
Right.
that's what
So
I
then when you go back, but when you are emotional though, Nicole, there is value there.
meant.
Right. When you step away from it, right, you may get some insights, but I'm really with you as far as, don't post emotional stuff online.
And that's what I meant, because
Hmm.
honestly, I've written emails and it sits in drafts. I go back to years later, and I read it, and I'm like, huh? Delete. I've written, and written, jotted down. I'm a writer. That's what I love to do. And how am I able to do it? And I say my content from two minds and two hearts, because I am north and south. And I think that gives me a very unique ability to see things different ways, like just from within myself, right? So I might write things down, and I might rip up the paper, crumple it up, and throw it in the garbage. But yes, it is really important to acknowledge and get those emotions out,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Get
Yeah.
it down. Get it down on paper. Get it down. Share it with someone, right? Because you
Yeah.
are right. When you say it loud, it takes on a very different meaning.
Absolutely.
Different emotions now spin off of those emotions, right?
I
So
kind of like what Ashif is saying here. If you don't, I kind of wanted to bring this up. Ashif, that's teaching. Sorry, you can't do that on this show.
She can be.
Seeking you.
Yeah,
It's
no, I get
exactly
that.
100%. It's true.
Yeah, no, I guess. Go ahead, Nicole.
I don't know who it is in the comments that said bipolar, BYE dash polar, but thank you, because that's how I feel.
That's Dennis.
Bipolar, see ya. Don't let the door hit you. You
He's
know
a
where.
comedian. He's our local comedian. He always has something.
Yeah, Dennis is our rhymer, and keeps the ball rolling. And
I would see I'd be hanging with him.
I think that with openness is really freedom once you can achieve it. When someone says they opened the jail door and they let me out, or they gave me VIP passes, right? And they let me in. So it's actually about choosing not only where you want to go, but choosing who's going to be behind that door. But mostly, I think I'd rather be the one opening the door than waiting for the door to open. I'd rather be the people inviting than waiting to get an invitation. And here's the thing is once you get your group, whatever it is, you've got the group. Stop. There's a saying, when you're in a hole, stop digging. And it's the same thing when you got everything you want, don't keep going after more. Enjoy it. And you won't have to worry about the doors that aren't opening, because you got the doors that do, and more doors than you can even go through. And when you live a life to say, well, if I'm not going to do this, I'll do that, or I'll spend it with that, there's always another door that you can go through. Sometimes say, I'm just going to go to the park and open my door to nature today.
Yeah, I'm doing that myself. Definitely. I need to unplug. I have to unplug. And I see Leslie like jumping out of a seat over there.
Yeah.
So before before we run away, though, I do want to say, and I know Don's probably going to be like, I'm not bringing him back on my show again. I can't believe she just did that. But I do want to say that, and it's been in the back of my mind. I'm a Hounds member, right? I'm a member of the Hounds of Business community, and I joined them early in the year. So what I am grateful for with that is I did meet the majority of the creatives through there. And that networking had helped me to be in something much bigger than myself, right? And get out of my own head of feeling that my world was just mine around me. And like you say, when you open your mouth, you realize that everybody else around you is you in some reflection in the mirror, right? You have a giant mirror, but somebody's an inch of that reflection in you. It is never just you. I am not the only person out here. That's the way that I am, right? And neither are you, and neither are you. So we are unique, yes, but there's other parts to us that are always going to connect with other people and other parts of us.
Well, that's so beautiful. And I think openness is making people aware of other openings and opportunities that aren't yours. That's how sharing a post is. That's how, when you have a network and you're an influencer in that network, they depend on you for what you learn along the way, what you find along the way. And too many people, if they can't create it, they don't share it. And if I wasn't going to post something of mine, I would share somebody else's to benefit them. But also, I'm going to be in front of people who say, I thank you so much for sharing this event or this video or something, because people like to know someone's taking care of them, looking after them when no one's asking them to.
Yeah.
I can't tell you how many people say, I just noticed on your post you made this mistake, right? And it's common, a spelled word, a misword. And it's like, wow, it's just like if my shoelaces were untied, I know they would tell me before they
Right.
watch me trip. And I
Right.
think with this audience, everybody comes either because they need something to get back to where they wanted to be, or they want to get beyond where they are and now they can be, because they've got a group that will keep them in the game, will tell them things they know are true but forget to tell themselves about how well you did. Because here's the bottom line: whatever you did, whatever you didn't do, all your events got you to this moment.
Yes.
And with all of those events, if it wasn't all of them, you wouldn't be who you are today, where you are today. You might be somewhere you would be somewhere different, better, worse. Looking back at what could have been is like looking back at nothing. So the point is how do you take all of this? And I think Nicole Leslie is a prime example of wrapping it in a nice gift wrap and sharing it with people they don't even know, right? It's one thing to open a door to your best friend, but invite somebody in who you don't know and you feel you could help, right? And what does that mean to that person? And the one last thing I'll say about openness: when you need help, there are people who need to help someone too at the time, right? That's why dogs and cats get adopted, right? That's why people say, I don't even know this person, but a foreign student, right? They can live with us for a year. It's all those types of imitations that make the person who gives it the beneficiary of the gratitude and appreciation, and knowing that person now can go forward, and you're building a legacy through others and living vicariously. So we've got about 2 minutes. We can spend another minute or two. I'll go through the comments. We'll give everybody last chance at reflection. If a door closes, there'll be a way around to go through it, or better still, another door will pop open. Life's an adventure. You got to expect everything. And when it comes your way, expect that you expected it. So true, that ability to be open when the past experience said it's not safe to open up. That is the most healing aspect of having a beautiful sisterhood like you and the creative. Gratitude is everything. If you don't appreciate who you have and what you have, and that's what you have, do you think something you don't have that you may never get is going to solve your problem? You got to start where you are, who you are, with what you got, and that's where you start building. Only diamonds will and can take all the pressure. And life should be fun. That's the other aspect. Struggle should be something you don't gravitate to. Many people, Dennis says, are trying to open doors to the polar region by buying a ticket. You are way ahead of the crowd. Here's a one from James. I hate those electronic TikTok doors. You hit the nail on the head, Donald Cohn. The chosen family is where I found real love and support, versus being unwanted and unaccepted by the family I grew up with. Well, when you figure 900 million people on LinkedIn, to find 5, 10, and not only that, when we're broadcasting every day, when the hounds are everywhere every day, Leslie's promoting so many different shows and got her own shows. If you were a parent and your kids were students, you would want to get the most diversified education you could from them, right? You'd want them to visit this camp and go to that school if you could afford it, and have a well-rounded education. Well, we can't be open communities without promoting openness in all communities. And that's why everybody should see what's available, should all know their options, and then make their choices. And what I find about these shows, it's amazing. Some people are here and then they disappear, and some come back and some don't. But there's always more, right? And maybe people get what they need and that's all they needed. And that's great. But the next step is really activating everybody. Mindset is so important, but application, and that's what we're talking about with words like openness, is if you got the power, what's stopping you now? If you got the words, you got the people, you got the mindset, what are you leveraging? And, talking to Nicole, and I know Leslie, everybody gets busier when they include more open doors to their door, right? It's almost like a path. Rita comes back with whether you think you can or you can't, you're right, Henry Ford. Morning, friends. Omar's here. Omar's a great guy doing a lot of interesting things. Openness is about transparent, being open-minded and receptive.
Donald, I'd like this to share something if it's okay.
Please.
Thank you. So Ashif corrected his quote. So understand that what you see in others is a pure reflection of you. If you don't like something in someone else, look right back at yourself. You don't like that about you, and that's what you're looking for, right? So you'll judge others because they're a reflection of you. And that muscle of judgment grows every time you go and look for what's wrong with other people. But the reverse is also available. It is a choice to look for the greatness in others. You have to have an element of greatness in you in order to see it in someone else. And the more that you look for their greatness, because you can't look for their weakness and greatness at the same time, you have to teach yourself to look for the greatness and success in other people, and it expands your own greatness. So most of us are default looking for what's wrong. When you're pointing at someone, you've got 3 fingers pointing back at you. We're a pure reflection of one another. We are all one. So teach yourself to look for the greatness in others, and you'll be a happier person. That's what I would leave you with.
Well, that was wonderful, Leslie. I'll share Natalie's comment. I love this conversation. I'm open to chatting with the great people on the panel as well as audience. Let's connect. Leslie Flowers, I want your brownie recipe. I think she'd rather make her own than have you make them and send them to her is the key. After the fruit flies and the overdone. Agree, open a mirror so you can reflect on what we learned. Danny says 100% Rita words. Additionally, he wasn't successful once he had any competition.
Okay, let me stop. I've been watching this. Let me stop you. They're talking about Henry Ford. So first of all, I've never heard anybody call Henry Ford a great leader. So Dennis, to that point, I'm a master of Think and Grow Rich, and I've never heard that. I don't see him as a great leader. I simply see him as a human being who knew that if he had the idea, it could happen and didn't give up, right? So I don't know where that came from, but he's just a man who ran a business, right? And it is true that we find out later that we may not like those people very much, that I've heard the same thing, that he wasn't such a nice person. But that's all based on my standards and ideals, your standards and ideals, and it's actually a judgment of him based on what we've learned, but neither one of us really know who he was. I just wanted you to know that for me, I never looked at him as a great leader. Lots have been written about him, and he was very successful. But what he did in Donald's example about the black car, even though you wanted other colors, you have 2 choices, no car or a black car. We all do exactly that same thing. So I just wanted to make that clear that he's a man like any other man who ran a business and did very well. And he exemplifies the thing that we all do, which is when we're clear about what we want, we don't take no BS about it, right? We know what we want and we stand up for that. And that's what he did. And if we could learn that from him, then it was all worth it in my view. So just as
I think that was a great aside. And, if Henry Ford did one thing right, he opened a highway system and provided cars for this country to grow. So, moving on from automaking to Nicole. So what's your final thoughts? I mean, we got out of brownies and we finally had to get in the car.
Oh God, it's been such a great conversation. And I truly, truly enjoyed being here today with both of you. I know I'm going to walk away, and every time I go to open a door today, I'm going to stop and think about this conversation and somebody's comment in the audience or something that you said is going to pop into my mind, and I'm going to be mulling it over. And I love that. I love being able to take something away, and I hope somebody takes something away from me too. And I for me, my parting is this. I found that when I was able to open myself up to myself, I was able to be there more for others because I was no longer holding on to anything inside of me, right? Who I was just radiated from my being. So when you show up for yourself, you are able to better show up for others. And I'm not speaking about self-care because I'll tell you right now, self-care is important, but I'm the worst. I smoke. And I ain't hiding that from nobody either, right? So love you, be inspired by you, by your own story. It's so okay to be inspired by other people. Donald inspires me every day. Every day. Donald, you inspire me to stop, what I want to do with my audio room. You said it. You want to do a live, go do a live. You want to do an audio, what are you waiting on? Don't have reservations. But when you open yourself up to opportunities, to learning, to people, to other people's opinions and expressions, right? You are now open. You're not closed. And in not being closed, you can now be there for so many others. That's what opening up to myself has done for me. It's allowed me to now be there for others, be there for myself and others. So that's my last, unless you want to go 3 hours.
Well, give Leslie a chance. This could go. So anyway, no, and I think that's so beautiful. It truly is, because you've opened yourself to so many people now, but more importantly, to people you will never see or meet through this video a year from now or 2 years from now. This has the ripple effect. It's like putting something down and seeing it flow down a river to a bigger area. And what I'd like to kind of close with is take an opportunity to ask yourself, what doors have you been afraid to knock on? Right? What are the doors in front of you that you've got your eye on? I want to go to the dentist, but hey, I'm going to do it next month. Or, and that's how people do, is they know they need something. And it's, what's easy to do is easy not to do. Right? And that's really the key, is make a list. We always talk about it. You put something in writing, it becomes magical because you have to look at it. When you just think of it, you can dismiss it, you can discount, but when you see it, it's like it's there. And ask yourself, how much of this you're going to get done this week? On the other side, how many doors have you only opened halfway to certain people? Right? So it's your ability to go through doors that you've been holding off on. And your also ability to open doors. You haven't, I hate that when you go to funerals and someone says, I was just about to call them. I was just about to go over for lunch, and now it's like the person's fault they died on me because now I couldn't see them, and then I go up and if they're a person I could actually talk to, I would say, well, you got 60 people sitting in this room. Who are you going to lunch with this week? Right? Who are you going to bake a cake for? I mean, it's like you didn't do it. You said you feel bad. And now you're going back and it's like waiting for the next funeral to say the same thing. So, people are funny. I don't take anybody seriously. And I think life is I really don't, because to me, When I changed my way of looking at life and people, from
Oh god.
frustrating to fascinating. When it used to be, oh, that frustrates me so much, or someone does that. And now it's like reflection. That is so fascinating how someone could end up that way. Or someone.
That's so smart. That is so smart of you. That's a reframe. And the reality is that what you were seeing at one time in them was one of your own frustrations in you. However, you gave it up by looking at it through a different perspective, a positive, a curious, a human, and open.
That's
And
like,
you teaching.
well, and because it's you're here's what I kind of learned. Sharing what you learned and felt over time, it is confidence in knowing what you have and what it meant to you. Now, you don't know what it's going to mean to somebody else, but the other thing is how you take something is how the door opens or closes. And one last thing, some people, they used to have a saying called skeleton keys, right? And one key could open up like so many locks. And some people think they locked you out and you've got the skeleton key if you want it, right? And you tell people how you feel about being locked out too. That's the whole key about expression. People need to know what they need to know. And you only tell people what they need to know, which is a double-edged sword. But you want to leave somewhere happy and refreshed. And if you take someone else's laundry back with you, now you got more to deal with. And I always like in or out. There's a saying, give me a yes, give me a no. Don't put me into purgatory or maybe, because then I don't know what I'm going to do. Right. And I think that's the key with doors. If it's difficult, go to an easy one. There's no need. Right. If you went to an ice cream store and they said $100, you say, forget about it. Right. The price is too high and I'm not paying that kind of money for that. It's the same thing now with a commodity that's even more important is time. Right? I knock on this door, I get in. What am I going to get out? But I think to Nicole's point in closing, what do you got to give also? If you bring a better present, you're going to be received every time a little bit better. So everybody did great. I'm so happy. I can't thank the audience enough. Nicole's an open door, and so is Leslie, always looking for feedback, constructive thoughts. And if you've got something that you think someone can help you with or you can help them with, come together with them. Everybody can make each other whole if they figure out the pieces that they both need from each other. Mm-hmm. Right? And why not be that person? I think to Nicole's point, anytime you see someone injured on a sports field, there's always two other players grab their arms, put them around their shoulders, and they walk off with them. Right? And that's sometimes you're in the ring, you're in the arena, and sometimes it gets pretty brutal. And sometimes you, especially to Leslie and to Nicole, when you play hard, when you play with commitment and passion, yes, you're going to get banged up. If you're hiding in corners and you're playing it safe, here's the last thing with openness. I'd rather I'd rather wear out than time out. And everybody's clock is ticking. And ask yourself how many people in the obituary wouldn't like to be opening doors today.
Good point.
Yeah, and that's the best point we're going to close on. No more companies, no more talk of that. So, bye for now, Nicole. You're just wonderful. Leslie, bye. Always enjoying the spontaneity of you. So with that, take care. Come back tomorrow. It's going to be a great show. Actually, tomorrow's show, I'll tell you very quickly, is going to be, I don't want to make a mistake, it's Sarah Dawkins and Janice is coming for the first time tomorrow. So that'll be great. And we got a great lineup coming this week. So with that, have a wonderful weekend. Be safe. Open more doors to more people. Take care. Bye for now.